Hello, thank you once again for this opportunity. I'm happy to present you this precious information. I'm happy to share with you my knowledge and understanding of virtual reality. I hope with this knowledge that we keep on sharing, you are going to find your way about virtual reality and its components. You're going to find out the things that you need when it comes to virtual reality usage or consumption. You are going to find out your way around, in the sense that you are armed with some knowledge that will give you leverage in deciding and coming up with what you need as far as virtual reality is concerned. So today I want us to talk about accessibility and inclusivity. So with this, we are going to look at three major topics or subtopics as they are. So one is ensuring virtual reality technology is accessible to all. The other subtopic is overcoming the digital divide that is trying to bring down the effort and the advancement of virtual reality in our society and in the industries that we are currently located. Now, we are also going to look at designing virtual reality experience for users with disabilities. So those are the things that I want us to focus on. Those are the major subtopics that I want us to look at and be able to understand much about them as we go along. So come with me and let's get started. So as I said, virtual reality is a technology that I believe is taking us far, and it has got a lot of potential, and this is the reason why I keep on sharing with you information about virtual reality, because of the potential it possesses, the potential that it is able to promise. So far it has been able to deliver much, as the name suggests and as it is. So that is what I want us to look at. So it is important that we get to know what is accessibility and what is inclusivity. Now, when we are talking of accessibility, we refer to the ability of people with disability to use virtual reality without barriers. Now, that is what we call accessibility. And when we are talking of accessibility, we have to bear in mind we have people with various challenges. We have people with physical challenges. We have people with sensory, cognitive, and even intellectual disabilities. So when we are talking of virtual reality and we are referring to accessibility, we are referring to that group of people. We are referring to the people I've mentioned, because these people are part of our society. They are members of the society, and they need this technology to even advance their life, even as we do. So the other aspect that we need to also get to understand what it is what we call inclusivity. Now, this refers to creating virtual reality experiences that are welcoming and respectful for all people, no matter their creed, no matter the challenges they are facing. So we need to look at inclusivity in the sense that our virtual reality technology is able to accommodate everyone, is able to accommodate every individual, regardless of their background, identity, or even beliefs. Now, this include people probably who are traditionally marginalized or excluded from mainstream society. So our virtual reality, or the virtual reality that are there, the virtual reality systems and experiences that are being designed should always factor them in. So with this, we need to know, why is it important for us to know the importance of inclusivity and accessibility? So there are a number of reasons why virtual reality, accessibility, and inclusivity is important to us in our society today. One of them is what we call social justice. Now, when it comes to social justice, all people deserve to access the same opportunities regardless of their abilities. So that is the reason why it is important for us to talk about this, because at this moment in time we are grappling with a lot that deals with social justice and social systems pertaining to rights and such kind of stuff. So it is imperative that we also look at this from that perspective, because at the end of the day, if the society is well able to make it possible for all its citizens and for all people within the society accessing or having the same opportunity regardless of their creed, regardless of their aspiration, regardless of their cultural background and such kind of stuff, then we will say that our society has made a leap forward to a better prospect in making sure there is harmony, peace, and love within the society. So we also need to know the other reason why in VR inclusivity and accessibility is important is because of the economic opportunities. Now, virtual reality brings a lot of opportunity which poised to create better job opportunities for not only people who are using the virtual reality directly, but also those people who are there in the forefront, making sure that this information or this technology is acceptable within the society, or basically making sure that you have the gadgets and the things that you need to be able to pull out a good and a memorable virtual reality experience. So there is economic opportunities that lies within the consumption and usage of virtual reality. Another thing why it is important is users experience. Now, when we come to the experience we derive from virtual reality, it is imperative and it is important for us to know that there are accessible and inclusive. The experience that we generate from virtual reality should be accessible and inclusive for all people, and not only for a certain group of people, but generally across all groups that exist within a society. So with that, we need also to look at how to make virtual reality accessible and inclusive. Now, there are a number of things that we need to consider. One, we need to consider accessibility at the design stage. So when these virtual reality systems and experiences are being crafted and being designed, at that moment, the whole idea and the whole notion of accessibility and inclusivity should come into play and should also feature in that process. So in the process of coming up with virtual reality, we should consider accessibility right there at the design stage. So it is important to consider the accessibility from the beginning of virtual reality development process. Now, this will help creators to ensure that virtual reality experiences incorporated within the system they are creating is considerate of all people with and without any form of disability. So it is important to consider that. So, and also when this is, when coming up with this system, virtual reality system, the other important aspect that is normally given a priority is the design principles. There are some design guidelines that are important to be factored in during the design process, because anything that is functional today, anything that is working today, from the gadgets that you're using in your house, from the TV, the computer, the house, there is always the design process. There is always coming up with the design of what you have, and it takes time, and it follows certain principles, and these principles are unique based on what is being done. Now, when we are talking of virtual reality and related technologies, when designing virtual reality systems, there are some design principles that must be adhered to. They must be followed. So just to point them out for you, in a nutshell, we need to consider different ways of interacting with virtual reality experience. So the designers or the creators of virtual reality should consider that there are some people who cannot use mouse. So what is the alternative ways and means of interacting with the system? So can they use their voice instead of their hands? Can they use can the system keep on tracking their eyes? So that is one of the principle. The other principle is we need to use clear the designers should know and make sure that the design product that they produce, that they render to the people, use clear and easy to understand language, even at the point of coming up with the manual to guide users how to use the systems or the virtual reality system. The manual should be so simple to understand, and they should move away from using very bombastic word or jargons that maybe will hinder people to understand what they are talking about. It should have a plain language that everybody can be able to understand. So there is also the elements of providing caption and subtitles for audio content. Now this is important for people, especially those that are deaf or people who have difficulties in hearing. So it is important to consider that is another principle. Now it is also important to use what we call high contrast colors and font. This basically to cater for those people who have low vision. So that is another principle. Then also we can also say that when testing these devices, it should be tested with people who have got different disabilities. So this is the only best way to fix the problem that exists. And they should also be what we call the feedback system that is able to help these people realize and get to know the kind of changes or the kind of updates they need to make, probably after releasing the systems and the devices to the people. There should be a means with which the users are able to send their views on how the interface is or how interactive the system is, and what are some of the changes or what are some of the things that need to be tweaked a bit to make the experience even better. So those are some of the principles of principles that are normally applied when coming up with virtual reality systems and experiences. So it is also important we look at examples of virtual reality accessibility and inclusivity. So there are a number of virtual experiences that are accessible and are inclusive. There are quite a number of them, and we going to just point out at least 3 for the purpose of learning. We are learning, and it is important we point out some example that is going to shed light for us in as far as what we are learning is concerned. So virtual reality experience for people with low vision. So these experiences use audio and haptic feedback to allow people with vision loss to experience virtual reality. We also have virtual reality experience for people with physical disabilities. So this experience use what we call adaptive controllers or voice commands to allow users with physical disability to control and to work with the virtual reality experience devices. The other category is where we have virtual reality experience for people with cognitive disabilities. So these experiences use a simple, easy to understand instruction so that people with cognitive disability are able to understand the virtual reality experience they are involved in or they are consuming at a particular moment in time. People may be asking, what is the future of virtual reality as far as accessibility and inclusivity is concerned? So virtual reality is an ongoing development process that is taking shape, and it is gaining traction all around the world, and many people are trying or embracing virtual reality so that they can be able to effectively deliver their goals and even their objectives, or they are able to perform better optimally in their environment of work or wherever they are. So virtual reality is relatively new technology as it is, but it is gaining traction, and there is a lot that needs to be done. So there are a number of organizations and individuals who are working on this virtual reality. So it is something that has got a future. Anything that people are slowly talking about, conversing about, communicating about, people are doing research about, and it is developing, know that there is a future in it. So virtual reality continues to develop. So as it develops, we'll continue to do our best in making sure that we are well conversant with it. Even moving forward, we have the necessary knowledge required for us to make use of this technology as it comes. Now, there is one thing that has proven to be a bottleneck, especially when it comes to embracing this technology. And one of the things that has played a significant role impeding the progress in technology at large is what we call digital divide. Now, this digital divide is mostly influenced or augmented by a number of factors or things like cost. So sometimes, because of the economic situation of most people, especially in my country, you will find that they don't have internet access. They don't have enough capital to invest in technological infrastructure or even to buy gadgets so that they can be able to use. So another thing is the infrastructure. In some areas there is no internet infrastructure available, so they cannot, people cannot be able to use technology optimally. And in some instance, in as much as all these are there, we have the issue of course, the issue of infrastructure. There is also the issue of digital literacy. Many people lack the skills and knowledge to use digital technology effectively. Now, this put together brings about what we call digital divide, and it is also something that we need to look act with concern and be able to solicit ideas and ways and means of bridging this digital divide that exists within our community, within our society. And so we can only do this if we go outside there and try to do what we can by doing what we call digital literacy. So like what I'm doing is a part of it. So wherever you are, always make sure that the knowledge you have, the knowledge you possess, you share it with somebody, because in this life is about sharing. And I've always been talking to people and telling people is never about how much you have. It is always about how much can you offer, right? And it is we've been designed to be able to give something, so that when you give, you gain. When you teach, you become more knowledgeable in whatever you are teaching or whatever you are sharing, and that builds your knowledge base. And once you have a vast knowledge base, then you can go around, you can share with people, and from that they are able to mold and even reconfigure their lives and be able to deliver the best for themselves, or the best for themselves. So it is imperative that we always play our role effectively in making sure that we share what we have. So digital divide has got a number of negative consequences. So one is limited access to information and education. In the world today, internet is very important. So people without internet access are often disadvantaged when it comes to accessing education and knowledge, or basically information. So that is one downside of digital divide. There's also limited job opportunities. As you realize, as we know, there are a lot of job opportunities on the internet and in the world of technology at large. So it is imperative that we play our role in a manner that we try to bridge in the gap and make sure that the information that we have is out there in digital form, in written form, so that our people and the general society at large is well conversant with the technology, and they are learning and they are gaining much. So that is also important. So you see, digital communication play a very significant role in doing what we call civic participation. And if this digital divide continues to increase, then we will have people not fully participating in civic education. So it is important to know that digital divide brings about some negative consequences that are negatively affecting our society as it stands today. So there are a number of things that we can do in order to overcome this digital divide, and part of that which we can do is to work with the business community, the government, to expand the broadband access within our locality. If it is a school, they can work with the people around the school to make sure that the people around are able to get information in a way that is going to help them, develop themselves, not only economically but also intellectually, and get to know what is happening around them. We should also make sure, or the government or the people who are tasked with the responsibility of governing the country should make it a priority to provide affordable devices for people and individual within the localities or within the country to be able to acquire these cheap devices and make use of them in educating themselves. We should also offer digital literacy training. So We should schools should do that. We should have this digital literacy training being done by the public libraries or community centers. So this will help a lot. It will go a long way in making sure that the gap of digital divide is even reduced even further. So we need to know that overcoming digital divide is a complex challenge as it is. So, but it's one that we must try to address. We must address if we want to create more equitable and just society. Our society is very important. It is where we derive our identity, is where we've come from. So we need to provide the resources we have, so that the resources that are provided there work in a manner that is able to bring us together as a society, and we are able to work towards a common goal. And that common goal is basically to reduce the digital divide and make it possible for all of us to thrive, and the world is all about, and get to know what is our role in the society. So it is important to avail these technologies for our people. We need to go out there, like what I'm doing, to educate our people about whatever knowledge you have, and it will go a long way, as I've always said. So I want us to look at the key considerations for inclusive virtual reality design. Okay, so we need to look at what are the key elements for inclusive virtual reality design. So first in the list is what we call accessibility features. So that is one fundamental, important and paramount point that we need to know, that to come up with a virtual reality experience that is inclusive, that is accessible to all, then we need to look at the accessibility features of this device that we are trying to create. So we should provide different methods or input methods that is comfortable for all people. So provide alternative input methods. Consider options like voice command, eye tracking, adaptive controllers to accommodate users with limited motor control. Right, so we also need to incorporate what we call text to speech or speech to text features. So these features can assist users with visual or auditory impairment. We also need to ensure when these systems have got high contrast customizable color scheme that helps users with low vision or color blindness to perceive virtual reality world effectively. So it is important to look at that element. So the other key element is sensory sensitivity. So when we are looking at this, we are trying to look at what are some of the things as users, or what are some of the things the system you're using is configured to help somebody who has some form of impairment to use it without considering themselves outcast or considering themselves not able to use the system. So when we are looking at sensory sensitivity, we need to look at ways to minimize what we call motion sickness, which is one of the challenge we have in virtual reality. We should also have adjustable audio volume and intensity, so that to allow users to control audio levels or to set their preference and for their comfortability. We also need to look at option to disable or adjust visual effect, so that users with sensory sensitivity may benefit from the ability to reduce or eliminate certain visual effect for the purpose of their general consumption of virtual reality. We also need to look at cognitive accessibility. So whenever the designers and the creators of virtual reality are doing this, these are some of the things that they look at. The cognitive accessibility. They need to realize that not everyone in the society understand things the same way. There are those that will take time to understand. There are those that will understand things differently. So the whole idea is to bring forth something that is understandable to all. So they should use concise language, clear language, avoid use of technical terms and jargon. Now provide clear instructions and guidance. They should also offer adjustable difficulty levels, so that you don't think that everybody is cognitively gifted in a certain to a certain level, but we need to know that everybody has got their own level. So that will play an important role in making sure that whatever virtual reality we have, we are also able to resonate with the idea. In this aspect, we are able to look at, we are able to understand, we are able to cognitively progress because of the levels that we can adjust. Once you are able to meet a certain level, you can improve or graduate to the next level, and that will be very important in making sure that everybody is able to use virtual reality, whatever the level they are or whatever cognitive challenges they are facing. We also need to have inclusive content representation. So whatever virtual reality device or experience is crafted, diverse character representation must be considered. So create virtual reality experiences that feature character from different cultures, different abilities, and different backgrounds. The experience should be devoid of offensive language or offensive characters. We should not have characters that are there to portray the whole idea of stereotype and offensive portrayal. So we need to ensure all characters are treated with respect and sensitivity. We should also consider cultural appropriateness. We should always consider all the cultures that we have around, so that whatever, there are some cultures that whatever you do in your culture is not what my culture advocates for. So we should get a middle ground where everybody, whatever walk of life you are coming from, you are well able to comfortably use virtual reality without being offended. So there should also be user testing and feedback. This is a very important thing. So before these devices are delivered to users outside there, it should be subjected to rigorous testing. And when this testing is being done, there are some feedback that are generated, and this feedback should be wired back to the creators and the designers, so that they can be able to improve on the virtual reality system they are creating. And also, even after the systems have been given to the users for them to utilize, it is also important that even during that continuous consumption or usage of the system, feedback is always sent back to the designers and the creators, so that users with disability are able to be considered in every facet of design, in every area of the design. So it is important to know that. So thank you so much for your time.